James' mother was driving her Volvo XC70 at around 70 miles per hour. She'd just come over a blind crest when she came across a man standing in the middle of the road. She tried to go around him on his left, but the man lunged into her path to pick up something from the road. Instead, she veered to the right and the car went flying off the road and ended up in a tree in someone's yard. The jaywalker then calmly walked over to the wrecked Volvo, but he took off as soon as neighbors arrived and other drivers stopped to help. Thankfully, everyone survived. Since the impact was on the rear end of the car, no airbags deployed. James' mother sustained a mild concussion, but her friend in the passenger seat walked away without a scratch. The car was deemed a total loss by her insurance provider. Cameron was driving his Nissan Altima on I-39 in San Antonio, Texas. All of a sudden, he got pit maneuvered by a semi-truck.
Did it now. You mother.
The semi-truck merged into Cameron's car, which sent the sedan spinning across two lanes before getting T-boned by a Volkswagen Beetle. Both he and the Beetle hit the concrete barrier before spinning to a stop on the shoulder. They both made police reports and filed insurance claims. The truck driver said he hadn't seen Cameron's car. Robert was driving in Resaca, Georgia, when he witnessed a drunk driver blow through a red light and hit two other cars. Robert rushed over to make sure everyone was okay. At the same time, the offending driver casually made a run for it on foot. Robert was contacted by the victims and their attorneys to go to court with them when the car's owner claimed the car had been stolen. In reality, it was her boyfriend who'd been driving it at the time of the accident. Her insurance completely denied the claim, and Robert had to visually identify the driver in court. Jessica was driving home from work in her Escalade and was almost home. She'd stopped at a traffic light when, all of a sudden, a drunk driver hit her at full speed before driving over the sidewalk and into a fence. This video was taken by a bicyclist who captured the incident on camera and later shared it with Jessica. Jessica's Escalade was hit so hard that it got pushed into the car in front of her. When she got out of her vehicle to talk to the driver that had hit her, he took off on foot across the street with cuts and bruises all over him. An off-duty cop who'd seen the whole thing chased after him and was able to stop him in the subway across the street. Jesus was driving his Honda Accord home in Lemon Grove, California. As he approached his exit, he noticed a few vehicles stopped on the shoulder, but he didn't think much of it until he saw a person standing in the road. Jesus passed him with just a few inches to spare. He says it gave him a real scare. This next video is also from Jesus. Here he was sitting at a red light in San Diego, California, waiting to turn left. Once the light changed, the car across the street ran a red light and hit a truck next to Jesus. He immediately stopped and called 911 to report the accident. A guy driving a Honda Civic hit Nick's parked Honda CR-V in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania while he was inside his aunt's house getting ready to leave on a trip. The driver then pushed his car loose so he could make a run for it. The police still haven't found the perpetrator or his car. The accident messed up Nick's bumper cover and driver's side fog light, but he ended up going on his trip anyway. The irony was that he'd just parked the car to go grab his aunt's bags. If he would have stayed outside for another 45 seconds, he might have caught the guy himself. In our next video, someone backed into Thomas's Ford Fusion. The airbags didn't deploy, which was fortunate since his wife in the passenger seat was pregnant. At first, the other guy's insurance provider refused to cooperate and said that Thomas lacked caution. Luckily, he had this dashcam video which proved that the Mazda didn't even have working reverse lights. It was an open and shut case for Thomas after that. The impact bent the vehicle's frame and his insurance provider deemed the car totaled. Toshi was driving his Toyota Prius in Oxnard, California when he was involved in a 3-car accident. When the traffic light turned green, Toshi and the other driver on his right started to go through the intersection. That's when a car from their right ran a red light and effectively hit both of them. Toshi's car was towed to a local repair shop, and it took a little over 40 days to get it back. The total repair cost was a little over $6,000 US. The driver who hit them admitted fault. Richard was driving his Fiat 500X in Akron, Ohio, when the Chrysler in front of him spun out and hit the concrete barrier. It was a light hit, and the Chrysler was able to drive away. Kyle's sister was working when it started to rain outside while the temperature was below freezing. After work, she was driving a coworker home when, unbeknownst to her, the hill that she was turning onto was covered in black ice.
Oh geez. Brake, what are you doing? If you're wondering what that noise was, it was the brake.
That was the brake?
Yeah, it's the brake.
Are you sliding?
Yes, I'm sliding.
Uh-oh.
Oh no.
Careful,
oh, no.
careful, careful.
That's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Woo! How did we get out of that unscathed?
She did a great job of controlling her car and keeping her cool. Kyle's sister is this week's real MVP. Matthew was driving his Hyundai Accent in Circleville, Ohio, when someone stopped their car in the middle of the highway. This caused another car to veer into Matthew's lane to avoid hitting stopped traffic. Matthew had to make his own evasive maneuver to avoid getting hit.
That was some good defensive driving.
Me?
Yes.
Chris was driving his Chevy Tahoe in Pullman, Washington. It's a college town, and Chris says that new students always have some trouble with the first snow of the year. This must have been the case when a car slid through a red light and crashed into a Jeep.
Really?
Chris stopped to help, and they were able to get both vehicles clear of the intersection. Chris exchanged contact information with the driver of the Jeep and sent him a copy of his dashcam video.
Okay, well, someone just wrecked out in front of me.
Oh, you actually got to watch it? Or?
Yeah, I think I got it on camera.
Okay.
Kind of pull up on the sidewalk to see if everyone's alright.
Chris said he'd love it if we'd give a shout out to their little college town and say, "Go Cougs!" It's short for Cougar, the school's mascot. Alex was about to overtake a long column of cars in a traffic jam when a semi-truck moved out to block him from doing so. Alex braked as hard as he could to avoid an accident. What do you think about this move from the truck driver? Let us know in a comment. Matthew was driving his Chevy Cobalt in Sugar Run, Pennsylvania when the car's tires started to slip and he didn't know what he was supposed to do. He hit the brakes, which caused the car to spin even more. He then overcorrected, which sent the car crashing into the side of the road. We've received over 5,000 video submissions on the TeslaCam channel and over 500 on this Dashcam channel, and this is actually the first time a submitter has confessed to causing an accident. Matthew tells us he's still a relatively new driver. The day of the accident was his first time driving in icy conditions. Now he knows he shouldn't brake so hard or overcorrect when the roads are so slippery. He's just fixed up the bumper and replaced the radiator, and the car is back on the road. This submitter was sitting at a red light when a Toyota Tacoma drove up over an island, took out a sign, and continued into a turn lane headed the wrong direction. The submitter thinks the driver must have been on his phone. Cristobal was driving his Chevrolet Corsa in Chile when he witnessed a crash.
Record video.
Start recording emergency video.
I've got to say, the voice-controlled dashcams are really cool. Roll the next clip. Watch what happened when Frontisek was headed to pick up his girlfriend at the train station. A girl driving a Peugeot ran a red light. The way she explained it, she'd mistaken someone else's traffic light for hers. She'd had her driver's license for only 2 months, and she'd borrowed the car to pick up a new dishwasher. The police were 2 cars behind Frontisek, so let's just say they arrived pretty quickly on the scene. His repairs cost $2,000 US. Oliver was driving his Toyota Yaris home from a 12-hour work shift when he fell asleep behind the wheel. His car started drifting to the side and he woke up just before the crash. He tried to get the car back on the road, but thanks to the thin layer of snow on the shoulder, the tires didn't have traction and the car kept heading toward the snowbank. The car made a 180-degree spin and rolled completely over. A few cars passed by before someone stopped. Oliver called his dad, who lived just 5 minutes away. The car was towed away, and Oliver's insurance provider deemed it a total loss. They offered him $3,800 US for it, but he haggled with them and sent them proof that there were identical cars selling for more. They ended up giving him $5,600 US. He decided to buy a Volvo next because of their great safety ratings. And here he is, coming back from another 12-hour work shift in his new-to-him Volvo C30. He was approaching a 4-way stop when a taxi blew through a stop sign. Oliver says the taxi driver even had the audacity to honk at him. He's just glad that his beloved Volvo didn't end up in an accident. In next week's episode, we've lined up 20 even crazier videos, so be sure to subscribe. Stay classy, San Diego.